So I'm going to talk about RCMA's partnership with BSF and cooperation, but we've also cooperated with SDSC and with Special Olympics, and as I say, the focus on disability sports. It's 10 years. 2019 is 10 years that personally I've been working with BSF, and that BSF was established in 2009. RCMA Group has been actively involved for about 8 years. So 2009, I went on a business trip to Bali and met the founder, Rodney Holt, for BSF. Both of us had a passion for sports, and he was setting up a charity in Indonesia that was going to focus on sports for disadvantaged. I thought that was an interesting way for me to get involved back in the community. My business was doing a lot of activity in Indonesia, and I could get actively involved. So we started the program. The first events we did were bringing a kids soccer team from Indonesia, from Bali to Singapore in 2010, hosting the kids at my house and at various friends' houses. Cheetah, who is one of the trustees of BSF, got involved in that first group. She was the only one that spoke Bahasa, so we had to translate how to look after them. We've been doing that now for 10 years. We've got them coming again in March this year. We partnered with Cold Trans, so I've used this as a way to get at different business colleagues over the 10 years and partners. So Cold Trans has been one of the big sponsors of BSF from 2010. They were the ones that were doing the conference in Bali that I went to, and we do an event every year on the weekend of Cold Trans. This year it's the 22nd, 23rd of June. We've got a friendly games for disabilities, and we've got a football tournament. 2011 and 12 we were working on different programs. Mostly it wasn't focused on disability sports. 2013 was when we decided that we could add more value through disability sports, and we organised our first Para Games. The first ever Bali Para Games was in July 2013, and that was an opportunity for RCMA. I got RCMA involved as our corporate charity, Cheetah, and we started to send volunteers to Bali on an annual basis. So every year from 2013, we've had volunteers go to the various events of BSF. And that was when the charity, and from 2010 to 13, the charity was turning over maybe $20,000 to $50,000. From 2013, it's gone up closer to $100,000. But you can get an awful lot of bang for your buck in Indonesia, and so it's a good spending. And for corporates, a donation of $5,000, $10,000 goes a really long way to running a program or some of the different events that we've started doing. So 2013 was RCMA cash donations. 2015 we roped one of our competitors in, Louis Dreyfus, a friend of mine who's now on the supervisory board, had his Indonesian company that was willing and looking for a charity to donate to in Indonesia. 2016, and then we had the ASEAN Para Games in Singapore in 2015. We had a few athletes that were competing for Indonesia. 2016, we started a partnership with my old university in the UK, Brunel University. We've supported volunteers from the UK to come to Bali, from 2016, 17 and 18. They work with the disabled sports. We've had the Vice Chancellor coming to Singapore. The Provost has come to Bali. And we've combined today with a Brunel alumni meeting. We've got a few Brunel alumni. This summer in 2019, we're doing a summer school for disability sports management that Kuhn, I think, is going to come as a guest speaker. And I may have got another guest speaker lined up in the networking here. We've got a lecturer coming from Brunel that will spend 2 weeks teaching BSF staff, but also anybody that's interested in disability sports about how to manage, and it will be a networking event combined with some of our other events that I'll talk about. 2017 we started one of our partnership with Rabobank. Unfortunately they're not able to be here today, but they're one of our banking partners, and we persuaded them to also participate in some of the events. So we did a Giro de Lombok where we had Rabobank staff. There were 9 Rabobank staff, there were 9 RCMA staff, and there were about 10 hand cyclists, disabled hand cyclists that cycled around Lombok for 3 or 4 days, and it was a fantastic event. In 2016, BSF had done a cycle round Bali. We sent spectators to the ASEAN Para Games in Malaysia, and it was very good. We had our first medalists from BSF, so we had some hand cyclists, and we've got some powerlifters. They'll appear on in the video in a moment. 2018, we went to the Para Games in Jakarta. Again, also sending people to the Bali event. Each year, we've been supporting the football team coming. And we've also had a boccia team that's come to participate in Global Giving Week. That was a partnership with SDSC at the end of 2016. And we've had a wheelchair rugby team that's come to Singapore, which Len's going to talk a little bit more about, for the last 2 years that we've had. 2019 is our. In 2018, we also had 10 Brunel volunteers that were in Bali over the summer. We'd set up a project in Lombok that had support from Special Olympics. We were looking at developing a small facility in Lombok, combining Special Olympics with disability sports and Para Games. We'd placed a container for those that know Lombok, on the west coast of Lombok, where the boats come in. We were just getting ready to put our volunteers from Brunel in there to help out and set up. And unfortunately, the earthquakes happened in the end of July and August last year. We put that on hold, and when I went on the trip to meet the volunteers, we said, okay, what can we do now? And one of the boat companies that supports BSF was willing to transport goods and people into Lombok. And so what we did was use the volunteers. We used our network to raise money, and we were able to deliver about $40,000 worth of aid that wouldn't have got into Lombok. It was physical goods bought in Bali, that was donations from most of our friends and network, the BSF network, that giving to a charity in Indonesia is sometimes a gamble as to whether it will get to the right place. But people could know that they were passing through an established charity, and we had a network that was able to deliver food, medicine, tools. We delivered clothes, some sports gear. I think there's a few photos of that coming up. So I don't know if Adrian's here from TD Securities, our next door neighbour, but they were one of the supporters of that programme. 2019 is our 10th anniversary year. We've got a lot of big events planned. I've talked about the summer school, which is the first time. We've got our 10th Bali Ocean Swim. We've got I can't remember the number, I think it's 7th basketball tournament, 6th wheelchair rugby tournament. We've got the 8th Para Games, and we're trying to do another one that I've hopefully met somebody that could be interested, a cycle ride from Bali, Denpasar to Dili. Rohit's just arrived, and I think I've got him signed up. He's going to be one of our participants. So a lot of different events that have given us chances for, I think it's over the time, more than 50 of our employees to get involved with disability sports athletes, either by visiting Bali or by hosting them in Singapore or by going and watching their events. The money that we spend, we have a good control on it. I'm on the trustee board. We have an English guy that's the treasurer. So we got good visibility on what we spend and how we develop the different sports. We're doing, I think, about 18 different sports now. There's a few pictures. So this is the football team. They won the football tournament last year. That's the boccia team in Millennia Walk that played against Singapore in 2017. This was the Lombok Aid. We had a little football session. The Halcyon, the rugby that Len's going to talk about, and this was a tour from Korea, and we had a boccia tournament at the end of December in Bali.